boy, I don't even know where to start, but I'll just start here. You know, it's never happened before, these two teams in the postseason. Is Sacramento kind of jumping right now?
Yeah, Sacramento's off the hook. They're so incredibly excited. And it's been something that's been building all season. I mean, starting back in January, February, you started to see this fan base really come back to life after years and years of being mistreated and kind of left out in the cold. And they're so excited right now. It's a good time to be in Sacramento. Sellouts every single night. They keep increasing the capacity of Golden One Center because there's so much demand. I think we're up to like 18,333, where it started in the 17s. So yeah, it's definitely a good time to be in Sacramento.
James, you know, I want to talk to you about Fox and Sabonis and Keegan Murray, but you know, a big player to me in this series is Harrison Barnes. He's like the vet, and he's already won a championship with this Warrior team. Talk to us how important he is to this young team, and also how you expect him to perform.
Yeah, I mean, I think Harrison is the seasoned vet that's been around for a long time in Sacramento. He played 82 games this season, which is absolutely spectacular in today's day and age where guys just take time off all the time. And he's just the steady influence, both on and off the court. You guys had him when he was young, but what he's become as a pro, as a community leader, as a locker room leader, as someone who teaches young players how to take care of their bodies and maintain. It's just, you know, he means so much to this roster. He's a really good player. He's going to get overshadowed in this series by a lot of, you know, flashier players on both sides. But he's the stabilizing force. And, you know, you talk about him, you know, making the playoffs and being part of the championship team. He hasn't been in the playoffs in 7 years. And I think that that's something like this team just does not have the playoff experience. And it's something that, you know, maybe you don't know what you don't know. But I did the math, and Golden State's roster has 817 combined playoff games, and the Kings have 185. And if you take out Dellavedova's 52 games that, you know, and Dellavedova, he doesn't play for the Kings hardly at all, but then he broke his finger and he's out for the playoffs. But if you take that out of the 180-something games, the Warriors actually have 4 players who have individually have more playoff experience than the entirety of the Kings combined. So the Kings, without Dellavedova, have 133 combined playoff games experience. And, you know, Curry has 134. Thompson and Green have 145. Andre Iguodala has 177. So this is really, it's going to come down to whether the Kings get caught up in the shuffle of you know, being in the playoffs for the first time, and whether a guy like Harrison Barnes can kind of keep the ship going the right way when times get tough.
James Ham joining us on 95.7 The Game. He's a Kings insider for ESPN 1320. Knows the Kings inside and out. If I were to ask you who the Kings' best player is, how would you answer?
I mean, it's kind of a coin flip, but really watching Sabonis play each and every night. I've watched Fox, you know, his entire career, but watching Sabonis play over the last year and a couple of games, he's just so unappreciated around the league. He's such a lunch pail guy, and what he does on the court each and every night, he's almost a triple-double every single game. And, you know, he's got 14 on the season and something like 65 double-doubles, but those 14 triple-doubles, he was so close to getting like an additional like 18 triple-doubles, whether it was 1 rebound short or 1 assist short, like so many times this season. And what he does on a nightly basis, it's not flashy. He gets hit in the head every single game. He's lost to contact probably 10 times this season from getting smacked in the face, but he just brings it every single night. And he's so physical. And, you know, he's played through an avulsion fracture in his thumb for months. You know, that happened back in, what was it, late December, early January, and he would have been shut down for 6 to 8 weeks, and it would have ended the Kings, you know, potential playoff run here. But he's played through it the whole time, and he's just a warrior. So when it comes down to him or Fox, I'm going to give it to Sabonis just because he's such a hard hat guy. He just absolutely impressive to watch on a nightly basis.
James, let me run this by you. I told my partner, the Warriors, you look at their road record, they've stunk. But I feel like because they're four-time champions, they can reach into that bag, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that it's the playoffs. They can flip it. But the Kings have just been a locomotive offensively. You're around this team all year. Do you feel like, they could be tight? Or do you feel like, you're going to get the same Sacramento Kings in the playoffs as you did the regular season? How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I think Mike Brown is going to do everything in his power to normalize the playoff run. And, he's been through it with not only the Warriors, but the Cavs and, the Lakers, like all of the, he's got so much experience that he knows exactly what to tell this team to expect. And, this team will not go through the motions. They're going to come out they could come out tight and miss 3-point shots, but it's something that I think people miss. Like the Warriors are, number one in 3-point attempts, number one in 3-point makes, number two in 3-point percentage. The Kings are right there with them. They're like number 5 in makes, number 6 in attempts, number 9 in percentage, but the Kings are number 1 in 2-point field goal percentage. This is, we talk about how great this Warriors run has been, and I covered it for many years. As soon as my King season would end, I would jump right on with Monty Poole, and I would work with him on the Warriors beat all the way through the playoffs. I was in Toronto. I've been to Portland covering this team. I was in locker rooms when they won. So I know how great they are. I'll tell you, the Warriors offense has always been incredible. They never did what the Kings did this year. The Kings offense this year was better than the Warriors offense in any of their great years. And that's saying something. Like whether it translates to the postseason, we'll have to see, just because the Kings haven't been there before. But they're such a finely oiled machine on the offensive end, and it's really wild because most of their rotation is new. They're new to each other. Herter and Monk joined the team during the offseason, Keegan Murray. The rotation, even if you throw in Sabonis and Trey Lyles that came over the deadline last year, Fox missed most of the end of last season. So the fact that they've been able to piece this thing together, I'm excited to see what they look like in year 2, year 3 of this group being together. But I think that they can go in and they can play. And we'll have to see whether that means they can beat like one of the great dynasties in the history of the game. But I'm not going to count them out before it starts.
James Ham joining us on 95.7 The Game, Kings Insider, ESPN 1320. And you're younger than me, James, but I don't know why this thought came into my head, but I'm going back to 2007 when the Warriors were playing the Dallas Mavericks, and the Mavericks had Nowitzki, a 6'11", 6'10" guy, big, very multi-skilled. And the Warriors guarded him with Steven Jackson, somebody smaller, and they went small, and the quickness bothered Nowitzki a little bit. What's happened this year if and when somebody tries to go small against Sabonis? In other words, I could actually see the Warriors trying to steal some possessions with Gary Payton II on him, believe it or not, and hoping to speed him up a little bit. How do you think he'll respond if that's the case?
They're going to get thumped. Like I'll tell you the way to stop Sabonis, because I've watched it all season long.
Yeah.
If you put a tall, skinny guy on him, a shot blocker, he'll bully him underneath the basket and dunk on him. And what he does there against the long, slender guys, he just dominates them. If you put the big, thick guys, the Steven Adams, the Loonies of the world, that's how you slow down Sabonis. And if you try to go small on him, look, this guy is so incredibly skilled, and he's patient. I think that even going Draymond on him is going to be a mistake. Like, he will be able to score on Draymond, and
that's kind of what I was fishing for, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, he'll be able to orchestrate the offense with those guys, and that's the thing. I'll also tell you, one of the interesting things that you'll watch with the Kings offense is they've inverted the pick and roll. So the Kings don't run a traditional pick and roll where the guard has the ball and he's playing off the big and the big is setting the screen. What they do is they give the ball to Sabonis and then they play the guards off of him. And it's something that, that's why their offense is so good this year, because Sabonis has the ability to make the right decisions all the time. and he's setting screens, but he's got the ball in his hands, and he's, the DHO, the dribble handoff, is what basically the Kings offense has been predicated on this season. You'll see it and you'll be like, okay, this is interesting, but why does it work so well? And it works so well because, again, they've taken the pick and roll and they've turned it on its head. And that's something that, it's really tough to defend. And it's why no one in the league has really come up with a solution. There's been a couple of zones that slowed them down. Teams that switch everything on occasion, it helps. But this is it's a tough offense to sort of sink your teeth into, especially when you have a talent like Fox that can score and get downhill on you at any moment, and then you have shooters everywhere.
I mean, in a little way, it sounds somewhat like the Warriors used to use Bogut and Draymond Green to initiate for their guards, Curry and Klay Thompson, a lot of times.
Oh, yeah. And you're going to see a lot of, the Warriors offense hiding within what Mike Brown does. I mean, he spent 6 years there as an assistant, and he's known for his defensive prowess, but he has not been able to figure out this team and how to get them to play defense for 48 minutes. I mean, we saw the shootout against the Clippers where it was 176 to 175 in double overtime. Just that's how this team is kind of built right now. And until they get more long and athletic defenders, you're going to get into a lot of shootouts. So I don't know that you want to get into shootouts with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. But at the same time, the Kings are a team that just has proven time and time again this season that they're up for the big moment. And they get better each and every time they play their opponent. So when you get to game 2, game 3, game 4 against the same opponent, the Kings have shown that they learn very quickly and they're able to make adjustments. The one thing about the Warriors series is it was so early in the season before the Kings were the Kings and before we really knew who the Warriors were. And then this last game that we saw, you just throw that one away because the Kings ran out there without any of their main core players. So it should be fun to watch how this series develops and how they go back and forth and organically how this series develops.
James, I got a home in Sac, so, I'm always hearing from King fans, and I can remember the Mike Malone, the Jaeger, the doubt, about Vivek Ranadive. And, Warrior fans have Joe Lacob, and he's built this into what it is. But can you talk to us about how proud or what feeling Vivek must have now with the new arena, the light, the beam, and the fact that, the Kings finished with the 3rd seed? Yeah,
to a certain degree, you feel bad for Vivek. He's made plenty of mistakes. The Michael Malone situation, I've been here for all of it. Mike Brown is my 9th head coach, and this is my 13th season. And coming into this year, it was bad. What the narrative is about Vivek, about the meddling, about him always having his finger and who's going to be the coach and who's going to be the GM and all of these things, right? And I think that what you forget is, again, you have a house in Sacramento. I worked at the Downtown Plaza. I helped build it in 1993 when I was coming out of high school. I worked at Copeland Sports. I remember what the Downtown Plaza looked like and what the whole downtown area looked like. What he's done to transform that entire area, not only the arena, but the Sawyer Hotel, all of the restaurants, right, all of that entire area, it's just absolutely amazing. And I think, unfortunately for Vivek, he really has got kind of caught up in the losing. He hasn't been appreciated for the things that he has accomplished, and he's been more of a punchline than anything else. And so I'm happy for him because I think at the end of the day, owners do make mistakes, especially when they're new. He hired the wrong people multiple times, and that's probably been his biggest downfall, is inability to hire the right person. But at this point, I think he finally got it right, and he's taken a step back, and he gave Monty McNair his extension. And Mike Brown was the perfect coach at the perfect time for this team. And so they've hit all of these things out of the park, but he's also let Monty McNair do his job. He let Monty McNair go in and trade an absolute fan favorite in Tyrese Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis. And look how it's worked out. So I think the hands-off thing, a little bit, it may have opened things up for him to realize that there is a different way to run this franchise and to be successful. And hopefully he's enjoying this as much as everyone else is in Sacramento.
Hey, James, thank you so much.
Appreciate
really good
it,
stuff, great information, and enjoy the series. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, anytime you guys need me.
All right, James Ham.